From the darkness of depression and anger to the light of purpose and creativity, transformation it isn't just possible, it's inevitable. When we choose, though, to face our demons. Welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. It's part 2 of Adam Lopez Delon's extraordinary journey. If you missed part 1, Adam shared his experiences as a parent navigating health challenges and the mental toll of working in an abattoir. I would advise you to go back though, listen to part 1. It's definitely powerful and it's definitely must be heard before you come in and choose to this one. So just click back and go and watch it and listen to it anyway. But now we're going to explore here on part 2 how he challenged his pain into purpose, overcame anger and depression, and built something meaningful with Sales Command. This is definitely more about business success. It's about reclaiming your identity and empowering others along the way. Here's Adam and myself for part 2. Enjoy. You had a few experiences in there. Before, I know we're going to get into it, but let's share some pictures of an abattoir for those who, because I honestly didn't really know what the word was until, and then obviously when I looked at it, I was like, wow, okay. So and these pictures are going to appear upon. So if you are watching on YouTube and Spotify, you'll see the pictures appear on the screen a little bit more clearer than this. Yes. But talk to us a little bit about these here.
So you can see the interior. And for anyone who's listening, imagine a lot of steel, just stainless steel in every direction that you look at, and a concrete floor. And there's a huge conveyor belt that you see at the very bottom of that picture. You can barely see it, right? And yeah, that's the lamb kill floor. The other one was the beef kill floor, literally the kill floor. Mm-hmm. So there's you can see a rail of a chain, and all these bodies go around, which is the carcasses. They're literally still warm as they come to you. Yeah. That's the lamb kill floor, and the other one was the beef. The beef bodies were just something spectacular. That's an image of the beef floor. There's a little lift you can see there. So again, steel everywhere. There's lifts that you stand on. There's no barriers or anything, and it goes up and down as you basically cut up and down these beef bodies. If you think about a 2-story building, these carcasses go from the very top down to the very bottom. Some even drag along the floor as they're going around. They're so big, and then at that point they're cut in half. And a lot of steel. It's just. Yeah, that was my life for 5 years, essentially. So,
do you want to do a little bit of a warning for the next one, Adam? Because I don't really know what to say, if I'm being honest.
Full disclosure. So this is the origination point of what we call mutton, which is lamb. This is just as they come in and get slaughtered. So let's quickly there it is there. That's an infamous picture. 1,600 of those lambs fundamentally go through a very small funnel or a conveyor belt, and their heads are forced to stick out one direction, and a guy's job is to stick them with prods, which I did that. I did that once and I hated it, obviously. Mm-hmm. And then the next guy, while they're being stunned, slices their necks open and then hangs them upside down and bleeds them, and all that blood also gets collected. Hot, steaming blood, because imagine the blood coursing through their veins. Can I tell you a story about one moment of this, right?
Yeah.
So before that point, right? So before the killing point of these animals, there was this one time where I was doing forklift work. So I did everything in this place, right? So I was driving forklifts and carrying the lamb skins around. They call it the skins. But there's, and the very back is the drovers. So when the trucks come in with their horde of livestock, like live animals, and they go into these different fenced off areas. So 1,600 Woolworths, right? This is Woolworths. This is 1,600 of these lambs going to the slaughter. But there was this one black sheep. I'll never forget this, right? And so you can imagine that funnel system, right? So there's a whole group of lambs that eventually get funneled thinner and thinner and thinner until they're single file, right? There's one sheep at the very start of the day. He was at the front, and there's one black sheep would get to that funnel point and then jump up, run onto the backs of every single lamb, and then go to the very back. It was a bit smaller as well, and you could just tell it was a different breed. It was very intelligent. And then as the day went on, he would go to the front and quickly climb to the very back until it was his turn. And he was the last one of that day. And I'm like, to the drover, the guy who's responsible for getting me, I said, mate, can we just let this one go? That was bad, man. That's so bad. And I'll never forget that, because it was just something different about this one, the black sheep.
And he didn't go. He didn't let him go.
No, of course not. He was one of those that you saw in that photo and hung up, skinned, and then ended up in Woolworths and put on the barbecue. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, it must be hard. Like, what was your? Did this place affect you mentally? Then, even just, I know there was other things with the colleagues and stuff like that, but even just seeing what that sort of thing every day did. I mean, did it put you off meat for one thing? I know I loved meat, but it probably would put me off meat if I was there.
Yeah, really good question. Its short answer is like, before going in there, it's like I said my whole childhood I was blurred. It was like I didn't know, I wasn't like what depression was, but I was just blurred. I couldn't beat myself. There was a point in time before I hit the abattoirs at 14 to 16. I was like working in Woolworths, like, and I felt like I was happy, right? I was well wanted in Woolworths. I was doing a great job, giving me lots of hours, and then all of a sudden it put me in this abattoir. So that initially was like a weird experience. So I'll tell you like the very start of so the announcement saying, son, you're going to go work in the abattoir. No, not even son. It's like, not even a conversation. It's like, you're working. Not even. It just was, right? So one morning I woke up, it was like 4 in the morning, and I'm getting dressed to go to the abattoirs, right? I don't even remember the car ride. It was just dark. It was cold. And I'm in this Volvo blue shoebox car. And all of a sudden we didn't know where to go. We drove through where the trucks drive through, and then all of a sudden we were at this penitentiary center. There's big black gates, and we drive in, there's trucks with skin everywhere, and that screw that I talked to you about before. And then my dad opens the door, and then we both get out of the car, and I walk, and I'm like, where the hell do I go? And I'm just walking through this what looks like a prison yard, and then the smell was the first thing I remember. It was like we've all been to a zoo, I'd assume. So that smell of a zoo, but it was beyond that. It was like 3 times more pungent. And what that smell was the smell of death all around me. And you could just smell. I'll never forget that smell when I first stepped in. And then when I turned back, my dad standing there with his hands in his pocket. I felt like he looked concerned. But I'm like embarrassed at that point. I'm like, just go. So I'm like, just go. So I don't remember him driving away. And as I'm walking towards this building, which was an orange brick building, there's like bits of grass at the front that's green, well kept at that point. And then this big tall guy, probably 6'4", and I'm this little Filipino Turkish guy. He looks down at me and he goes, what the fuck are you doing here, Stir Fry? I look up. He's got a tattoo on his neck. Shaved head, orange hair, beard, tattoos all up his face. Knives down his side, dressed in all white, apron with blood on it. It was, and so I kept walking towards that building. And then as I got to that building, they welcomed me and then said, right, yes, you're the new starter. You're going to start in what's called the iron shed. So these iron sheds, like these little things that hold up the animals, like big hooks, little hooks, lambs and beef. And my job was to sort the iron. And then I haven't seen a piece of carcass body meat at all. And these crates would get sent to front of me. They said, just all you need to do is start off sorting the iron. I'm like, okay, this is pretty easy so far. It's quite fun, actually. So I'm sorting through, and all of a sudden, like, I've received one container with this lump of like meat just on this. And it was the first time I saw the meat. And I'm like, what do I do with this? Like, do I put this in the bin? Like, no, it was just crazy. It's like these boxes of iron, and all of a sudden I'm seeing more of these bits of fat, bits of meat all over these iron hooks. And I'm like, right, okay, this is the abattoir. So that was like the easy stuff. And then, and that was pretty much my first day. But during that time, I didn't remember packing any food. And I can't believe I didn't pack food. I just came across that thought. I didn't have any food. But they had lunch trucks that would come around, and the lunch trucks would serve hot chicken wings, sausage rolls, packets of pasta. It's just meat. I bought a Mars bar. I didn't touch meat for the first week.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like the first few days was working in the iron shed.
You were full time at this point.
I was casual. Yeah,
casual.
At that point,
okay.
Yeah, I was casual. So start off as a casual.
Because you still had school to go to.
Yeah, I was going to school and working at Woolworths at the same time. Yeah. So so I obviously missed a lot of school, and but I definitely changed. Pretty rapidly.
How would you say you changed then?
Just went angry, like
Why?
extremely angry. Like just went like my nickname. I was smoking marijuana. There was a point in time during that same period because my brother was into taking drugs. I would take drugs, and my depression, my anger just got more and more and more as time went on. But yeah. So then school was like I go to school and it's like I'd see. Imagine going from this place with this everyone's just a bikie there, man. They're all like coffin cheaters, bikies, some good people, bad people, probably murderers. They're all convicts, the vast majority. They've got some sort of record. So they don't do criminal checks, obviously, to work there. And
Clearly.
yeah, well, easy place to get a job, cash in hand. Why not, right? So it was just... then going to school and seeing these kids everywhere, it's like, you kids have no idea. Then I'd go to Woolworths and I'm like, at that point, everyone was just soft to me. Everyone around me was like, you're all soft. You have no idea what true, like, yeah. It was like, got to my head, I think, as well. So, yeah, I guess that was like the transition. Eventually, I just stopped going to school. So, dropped out of year 11. And
So you didn't do your exams?
hell no. Why would
Hell
I do
no.
exams?
Well, don't know.
I was crappy at school anyway, because
Right.
teachers would, instilled in me during the earlier years that I was dumb and I was quiet. And so I would sort of play that role and, just do the bare minimum. And, popularity was rising because of the whole stigma of my brother. So people would they passed me from year 10 to year 11 at that point anyway, thinking that I was going to leave. So, yeah. Yeah.
So if I was looking at Adam, if I was with Adam at that moment in time, what would I have seen coming out of the angry Adam?
Well, it was probably 2 years after I started working at the Abattoir, right? So this is I think the drugs made a big impact. You would see a guy who was just an angry guy, like you would see a guy that was just very quiet, very crazy. It's very, very crazy.
What would trigger that though?
Nothing would trigger it. It was just like, I don't know. See, that's the thing. Like, you ask what would trigger it. Like, I wouldn't know. It was just my default state.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So you just wouldn't want to, like, I'd have my friends because, like, the common thing is smoking a joint or going out to a club. It was like, it was a really crappy time. I hated every day of it, to be honest. I hated it. Hated myself and hated that. So, yeah.
And how long were you at the Abattoir for?
5 years.
Wow. So that's a long time to see all of that stuff. So your interactions with those, because you've not come from the same background, you've got bikies who work there, criminals and so on. What type of relationship you have with these people? Because you had to work with them every single day.
Yeah. Such a good question. So the relationship was like, so going from the iron shed and all of a sudden, like the next week, it was like a Monday or Tuesday, the foreman said, you're on what's called the first wash. So there's a picture of like, one of the pictures is the first wash, right? So when the lamb bodies just get the skin torn off, they get the hooves cut off and it comes around, you've got to wash the shit off the ass, essentially what's hanging, right? And then you've got to wash it all off, right? That's what's called the first wash. It's high pressure hose you've got to constantly hold for your whole shift. And then, so you're on the first wash and all around you, you've got people like bikies, drug dealers, the old people doing like the meat inspectors, like they're all like been there for like the life. They would call them lifers. They've been there for like decades. And then you've got the people doing the gutting, and they're all like, so they would start to throw things at you throughout their shift.
They would what?
So they would throw like just gallbladders at you. They would throw little stuff that sticks on you.
That was fun for them.
Sorry?
It was fun for them.
It was fun for them. That first wash was like the rite of passage. It would either define who you are as a person. It literally is like a prison.
Yeah.
So my reaction was interesting because I wouldn't even I would look them straight back and I would just something about the look that I would give that they would just stop. right? And I didn't think anything of it, right? It was just like, I'm not a big kid, right? I'm very, like, I'm like 16 years old, man. I'm tiny compared to these people. But they would do stuff, and then the air of respect was like, yeah, there's times where they did actually wet them with a hose, and these people have razor sharp knives, and they would try to go at you, and then I would just stare at them. It's almost like, don't know what it was. They would stop. They would just stop. And all of a sudden I was well respected. But I didn't really see, like, then I'd see other kids go through the same thing, right? The first wash, and they wouldn't last, man. They would just get bullied the entire time. They would make them do things. It was just like, yeah, it was like, you have to hold your own. You have to hold your own there. So
looking back, what was the difference between them and you, do you think, versus why they didn't go for you and left you alone, respected you, but they was like, fuck this, I'm out of here?
It's almost like they feed off the energy, right?
Yeah.
They could see the fear energy. And I think that's like an inherent thing that people pick up on. You know when you're around someone you're feeling nervous, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess for me, I didn't have that. It's like almost like maybe because I was like raised by a freaking Turk who's just a tough guy, and my brother who would constantly, like, he wouldn't mean it, but like in fact that's just, again, default environment, and don't blame him for anything, but like, he would probably bully me my whole life, all that sort of stuff, right? So perhaps I was just like, meh, like, come at me, or just meh. And it was the same thing at school. Like, people would try to bully me, and it was just like, I wouldn't have to do much. It was just like, they would just stop for some reason. I don't know. It was that energy wasn't coming back, what they expected. Because I think they do that to get that negative energy, and they feed off that, but they just they didn't get that from me at all. So, yeah.
Any other shared experiences you think's worth sharing from there? Before
the Abattoir period? Yeah. I think that, just in closing of that, like, the one thing, right? So if I quit school, there was a time as well, like, this is probably where I became more and more aggressive and angry, where I ended up stabilizing the finances. I just don't know why. My brother, he only started working there like 2 or 3 years after I was working there.
You could bully him then when he came in.
Well, at that point where, we're talking and stuff, right? Friends, we always are, but not so much now. As in, like, we're not like we're enemies or anything, but I just don't see him anymore, which is a different thing, right? So, which is kind of sad because I love him, obviously.
Of course.
But, so I guess the one thing is, like, at the end of the week, two things happen, like, one of which, at the end of the week, you get a big wad of cash, right? You go to a bank, right? So at the end of the day, the foreman would hand out the checks. Sorry, at the end of the week, they'll give you a check. In fact, it was every day they would give you a check. So they would hand out a check, right? By the time it gets to you, it's covered in blood. Yeah. And then you got to drive to the bank and cash it in. Ugh. And then once you get out of the bank, it probably, I'm mistaken, it was the end of the week, right? You would walk away with a wad of cash this thick, a big wad of cash, and I was like, wow. And all of a sudden, like, we put that in the drawer. We made a pact, like, let's not touch it, let's not spend it, let's just pay off the car, get ourselves out of this trouble. And once we, a few weeks of this happened, all of a sudden, I was at home tired, and my brother would just take a $50 note out of the, and like, oh, where are you going? What are you doing? I'm meeting up with my friends. Oh, it's just $50. And never used to touch it. Never used to touch it. So that was very hurtful, because I just, when you have flashes of insights, like, that's one thing that I definitely see as well, and that probably contributed towards anger. But then I end up following his path while I was working at Abattoir, which is drugs, weed, and I left my old group of friends who I loved and adored, then started hanging around his friends, and they're all into the same thing. So that was one thing, right? The other thing that sticks out is, like, the goal and objective, right? So during that time, like year 4, right? Every single day at the end of the shift, like, you'd have blood all the way up your arm, blood in your face, and you're wearing what starts off all white uniform. There's a photo of the guy. At the end of it, it's like you're covered in blood, and you'd go home smelling like that death smell of when you walked in, but you're used to it at that point. So the only wish that I had was, like, and at that point my brother was working as a manager in a call center, a sales call center, So he was always looking nice, looking clean, and I basically just wanted to be like him still, right, at that point. And I just wanted to smell nice. That was my only objective. I wanted to smell nice. That was my goal. I just wanted to look nice and smell nice for a change. I didn't know anything about sales, didn't consider it. And then in year 5 in the abattoirs, there's another story. I'm not going to go into details. It's not a full story about this, but year 5, I like my first love. We broke up during that time, and then at that point, I was at rock bottom, mentally, personally. I was just empty, right? Year 5, and I was working out a lot at the gym, and nothing was helping. And broke up. And the next day, I went to work, and then I used to train people and upskill the kids that come through, and then you'd upskill them to the position of like working on the beef floor. So I upskilled this kid and taught him outside of my time to how to use the knife and make the perfect cuts and all that sort of stuff, how to sharpen your knife. And then he ended up taking the job that I trained him to do, and the foreman who gave that job, a huge guy, kickboxer, massive bald head. When I found out that happened, it was like a massive betrayal. And I was already I just broke up with my girlfriend. I was just angry at him, like, to the max. And then, I ended up looking at him, and I had my knives, and I dropped them on the ground, and I started to walk towards him, and I found out that he did that to me. He placed someone there, and I was just out of my mind at that point. And then the union delegate, which is the head of the union delegate, saw this happening, and he quickly grabbed me, and then he put me aside. At that point, it was actually 4 years and 9 months. And then I ended up quitting, right? And it was 3 months off my long service leave. And they knew this, right? They tried to, like, no, of course not going to give you money. Yeah. So, couldn't even last the full 5-year period. So that was that. And then all of a sudden I'm at home, no education, no true friends. My brother's already moved out of the house at that point, right? He's pissed off, right? And I'm just on my own and in this house all alone. And I had one friend, pretty much, and I was so depressed. And at that point, I then had a car. And I didn't have a job because I got pretty much fired from that abattoir. I mean, I got fired from a slaughterhouse, for crying out loud. It's insane. But and I'm now sitting
because you were so fucking
mate. It was pent up, and I hadn't read a single piece of paper. I didn't read anything for 5 years, and then I was depressed, and just literally that was depression. Like, now I know what depression is, and that was like rock bottom. And and I'm like, all of a sudden I'm just in the bedroom, like no TV, I'm just sitting on the bed, like I've got this car that I need to pay off now. It's like I just caught the bug of what my brother did.
Yeah.
Now I've got this car that I can't afford to pay off. So, and then there was a newspaper, and I'm like, just picked it up, and I started reading again, and I'm like, oh, I actually enjoy it. I forgot about reading. And then decided to go for a walk, went to the shops, went to a bookshop, and then I saw a book on the shelf called You Have the Power, which I still have that book, by the way. And then I'm like, what is this book about? Like self-help, self-development. Didn't know what the heck that was, right? I'm like, self-help. So I'm like, picked up the book, bought it, and then took it home and started reading it. And then I started writing, journaling. And then I started to set a goal for myself. And then, I went out to get a job.
What was the goal that you set yourself?
It was such a mediocre goal now that, like, I didn't work in the abattoir, so I had that goal to smell nice. But then the other goal was just to become a cook, a chef, because my dad was a chef, right? So I set myself, my language at that point was, every second word was profanity, right? Yeah. It was very inarticulate in every single way, shape or form. So I had to learn to speak again, and like normally in an environment where you're not surrounded by ex-convicts. So I ended up getting a job working in the kitchen. And then I remember there's one comment one person said to me, right, in the kitchen. He goes to me, because I used to walk around like this all the time. Like my face all scrunched up. He said to me, why do you always look so angry? And I didn't realize I was like that. And then I looked at myself, I'm like, okay, so I need to change that. So it was like just reinstilling myself back into what is called normality.
Yeah.
And then that didn't work out. I hated working there. It was $10 an hour, doing a whole 13-hour shift.
It's not the abattoir wage, is it?
Mate, it's probably harder, man. Working in the kitchen's tough, right? Really tough. And then, yeah, I tried to get a job doing what my brother does, and then I didn't get that job. And so it turns out he told them not to hire me because he probably knew about my limitation, but that's a separate thing. I don't want to get into that because that really pissed me off, obviously. It still pisses me off today, to be honest.
That's hard.
Yeah, and that was really the objective. So just writing and then reading, self-development, self-help, and then eventually landed a job getting sales and cold calling for electricity contracts, and that's where my sales career began. Started to rebuild myself, essentially. But I didn't know about rebuilding myself. I just got the job because I needed to earn money fast. And as so happens, I got that job. So,
what was your mental state at this point? Because you're flicking back and forth between these different things. You've been through a couple of jobs. You're rebuilding yourself. You found love in reading. But what's your mental state at this point in time?
Still cloudy, man.
Really?
All the way through. Like, I had no idea about myself. Still had the same habits. It just wasn't me at all throughout the whole period. I was definitely damaged heavily.
Well, did the reading bring you out of your slump a little bit?
It did, yeah. It did, because that point I said at the very beginning about learning to connect and communicate, confidence. That was all through books. So You Have the Power was one. There was another book that I picked up because learning how to do sales, you need to learn how to do rapport really quick, and I had no idea about what rapport was. So I ended up finding another book called How to Make Someone Like You in 90 Seconds or Less. And then I learnt the art of language and understanding of someone's sort of like, it's on the kinesthetic, auditory, or what language they tend to use, and matching those words according to their language. But it still wasn't being you. Yeah. Because now I don't look at things that way. But back then it was like, okay, so I can build rapport if I match your persona. Then I started to learn how to match people's persona, and then it sort of built up from there. And
did it work for you at the time?
Oh yeah, it worked for me. Yeah. I used to do a lot of writing about it. I used to write the words and then role play it with myself and be in front of a mirror. I used to record myself in phone calls as well, listen to my own voice to see how dedication. I sound. I had, it was absolute dedication. Yeah. So
was this angry face, Adam, has that slowly disappeared over this time through this training, self-training?
Not until, so I would say up until my 30s, yeah. Wow. So it's a good 10 years of just building slowly on those foundations. And it was a long journey.
So where did your professional life go from there?
Yeah, so I went from the entry-level sales job to then real estate, and then did that for about 6 months and sold 6 houses. And then the guy fired me when I started to make commission, which in hindsight, probably by design. And then, I went to work for higher-end sales jobs, and then that's when it connected on to working for that marketing company that I did marketing for the investor. But during the entire time, there was something always inside me that I wanted to build my own thing.
Yeah.
Right? So then I started doing my own thing as I had this new marketing job in which I did marketing for that company where the investor was the owner of, and I did really well. Doubled their marketing spend. The marketing manager was like, hey, I know you've got this side business. You need to meet the investor or the owner of this company. And then I met the owner, and then all of a sudden he was my mentor for 6 months until he said, I want to invest in you. And then we built Mesh Telco.
Oh, so that's where it joins the dots, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's where it joins the dots, yeah.
Yeah, that was the pivotal moment then, I guess.
Yeah, the pivotal moment was literally going out on my own and actually, partnering with my brother and two other people on and it was, in fact, I quit my job first, and everyone else was still working. So you can see a pattern here. I'd take a risk and back myself. And so that original side hustle idea where I licensed Wi-Fi technology from UK to Australia, I sold my first sale while I was getting my hair cut. Yes, I had hair. So as I was getting a haircut...
It was a late reaction there, but...
I know, right? That's the painkillers kicking in. But
for everybody to context, guys, I've had my tooth removed yesterday, just so everybody wonders why I'm on meds on the episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can cut that out. I give you permission.
No, don't be silly. That's funny.
But it's good to know how much dedication you have. But the... I was literally getting my hair cut, and I had this Wi-Fi technology, and I knew that we had to we could deploy it. We'd never done it before. And while I was in the hairdresser cutting my hair, I went there for quite some time. I said to him, look, I've got this Wi-Fi technology. I'm starting a business. Would you want to buy it? He goes, how much is it cost to set up and what's the monthly cost? So I made a figure. I said $1,000 and $100 a month. And he goes to me, all right, I'll buy it. And it was at that point, I'm like, right, I'm quitting and I'm doing this full time. So that's when I left my marketing job, and then as I did that, the investor was following me, and so I made that leap. And everyone else still had their jobs as co-founders, but I was the only one who went full time into that business. And ended up getting a few sales. I think it was like 12 or 20 between that much, and it fluctuated a little bit until we decided to build the technology in-house and scale it through a new investment and a new partnership, which I had to kick my brother out and the other two business partners because the investor only wanted to invest in me. So
yeah, wow. So before I wanted to touch still back on because I remember when we had a chat last time regarding your mental health, we talk about I remember speaking about the depth in which you went in with your mental health. Was there ever a point where you were that low, real negative thoughts had come into your head?
Yes.
What did that look like for you?
Like I used to visualize myself just not existing in various different ways was the first part. It was a time when, so post the Abattoir, I was so cloudy. I didn't want to exist, but then found the book, then wanted to exist, then went into real estate. It was just bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
And then lost the real estate job, and my dad didn't know I lost the job. And at that time, my dad was going through his battles with house property. I ended up driving to a pier, car park area, and I'm just sitting there looking out in the ocean. The windows were closed, and I started to visualize how I could utilize the car to fundamentally end the suffering. So that was one thing that I remember.
Would you have done it that night?
Well, I planned it. I planned how it was going to happen, the logistics behind it, and then I visualized people finding me, and I couldn't do that to other people. I think I didn't want people to find me like that. So
that's what stopped you.
That's what stopped me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the bit most people don't visualize, do they? When they end up doing it, right? It's such a dark space to be in, and I'm grateful that you did visualize that and understand the pain that those other people would have gone through.
Yeah,
if they had found you.
Yeah.
There was another really dark space that you had with family members as well. Are you comfortable in sharing that? You had a bit of a tough time with your father, and another reason why you left your home.
Yeah. So yeah, very, very, very tough time. So my dad was always trying to sue people to get money at that point because he had a lot of health complications, and then doctors apparently kept screwing up. So that was his way of monetizing. At the same time, he moved to a house where he bought the house, renovated it, spent $50,000 on it, and the previous owners who sold the house actually defaulted on the finance. Like a year later, and the bank then said, you don't own the house, Leon. My dad's name was Leon. We're going to repossess it, or we're going to buy it at the value you buy it back from me at the value that you bought the house. But then he put so much money, so he was battling that. Then at that point, that's when I lost my job at in real estate. Then I had that moment, and then shortly after that, when I came home, he just kept going at me. You know, I was like the punching bag for him, not physically, sometimes maybe, but mostly mentally. Like, if I took a shower for more than like 5 minutes, he'd be banging the door. If I didn't stop the water between shampooing my hair, because he wanted to save money, he would be yelling at me. So it was just constant every single day, and I was already empty at that point. And it got to a point where it was after that moment, he said something to, obviously I stopped caring. And then like he was at the front door, I was about to leave the house, and then he was saying something to me, and his head was here. And then I just went right next to his head. My fist went straight through the wall. And it was like a stud just next to it. And then he's the kind of guy that if you hit the ground hard with your feet, he would yell at you, let alone punch a hole in the wall. You would think that he would just... But he was stunned. It was the first time he went silent.
So you didn't make contact with him, though?
No, didn't make contact with him. It was very close. This was years of hardship in that house. And then I turned around and drove my car to my only friend, my best friend, Lee. He's my real brother.
Still to this day?
Still to this day. Our families are close. He's got 2 kids. We're close. And,
I love that.
He's a beautiful man.
Shout out to Lee if he's listening.
Shout out to Lee Shu. Shout out to you. Nice little rhyme.
Sounds like Rush Hour, that.
It does.
To
what
you?
A great name.
To me? To you? No, you. No, you.
Yeah. No, you. Shoo. So I drove to his place, and he was going through a battle as well. But then I ended up just staying over there, and that was
Never moved back.
Never went back again. That was it.
Relationship with your father during that time, though?
I didn't remember speaking to him for a long time, to be honest. Like, I didn't even get clothes. I started to smell. Like, I literally just left the house, and
Really?
and then I had to like go back when my dad wasn't there to pack my stuff, and then my mum helped me, and she was not as sad as I thought she would be. Strangely, to be honest, really strange.
Maybe it was less pressure off her having that different dynamics around. Even though she loves you, I don't mean it like that.
Yeah, but maybe it's also having extreme hardship and mental bullying through her whole life that pain wasn't really a thing for her.
Yeah, very
right?
true. Yeah.
So, and it was the same with me. And my brother would probably escape it through having fun and all sorts of things, escapism. So, yeah. So my relationship was like, and then it just became normal. Like I think, at that point I had a girl, eventually married her. And then, and it was just like, it became a normal thing. And then my best friend, we moved out together. We lived together for 4 years. Yeah, it was just like, it was just normal. It wasn't a conversation. It wasn't like, son, I'm sorry, or I'm nothing. Which is, again, that was the story of my whole life. It was no anything. Yeah. So, yeah.
So I feel like we've done a full circle. Have we? Is there anything that you've missed that you think we need to share before we, because there's a few things I want to ask about other ways of how you're leading your own way outside of the professional sense, because everything you've been through, it comes at a mental cost, doesn't it? So, Of course it does. Absolutely goes without saying. And now you've got another load, which is obviously your purpose, your family, your beautiful family, and so on. But to turn up present to them every single day, I know I've done it, and I'm dipping right now, and I feel like I need to get back into it, and so on. We are human.
Yeah.
Before I ask that question, is there something else that you think we need to fill in the gaps of your journey then?
Yeah, I think like, the big one is definitely like programmed to lose.
Yeah,
I think that's a statement. Okay, so programmed to lose. So a simple thought that one day I am going to write a book about this, right? But the simple thought of like you're programmed to lose was, through my whole childhood was literally I'd be programmed to lose, let my brother win everything, and be the one that is dumbed down, and you sort of have that as a self belief, going forward. It was a lot of different moments of time where no matter what my brother would do, I would still love him, and because that was like a default state.
Yeah,
I think that's like a key thing, like, and it's like becomes a mental norm even in life, like playing sports. It carries across to everything that you do, and even business, right? So that change is a huge thing, right? A massive thing, and it's a blessing because like I see the mechanics of it, and I'm able to then sort of like understand how to reverse that, and it was through like a lot of meditation, repeating things like I love myself, I've done like therapy as well, like EMDR, and everything always leads back to childhood as well. We do certain methods of tapping, and you need to remove a limitation from a part of your brain that you can't access through conversation. So conversational therapy is bullshit. You'll never change from that, but you can change through this method. And sort of realizing, there's all these tools out there to help you sort of rebuild that and not be programmed to lose. I think that's a huge thing. And the constant need for self-development, it just doesn't end. That's a big part of my life, right? So no education, being told you're dumb, going in from an abattoir. But even still then, like having this thing inside me where I just knew that I was different, and that I want to build something great. There's always this innate sort of belief that I had. So yeah, that's probably a huge thing, right? So no matter what someone did to me, I wouldn't feel that anything. It was a strange thing. But then, yeah, getting out of that through this mindset, I think is a critical component. So yeah,
sounds like you've rewired your brain to program yourself to win now. Then,
well, it's wiring. I think it's an endless pursuit. You hear things about imposter syndrome is a huge one, right? A huge one. Constantly the most successful people in the world still suffer from that. I want to do more public speaking, talk about this stuff. I think is super important. Having the right partner in your life. Without Evelyn, I definitely wouldn't be the level that I'm at as well. So surrounding yourself from your immediate environment, someone who's empowering is amazing. And she's built a whole community of women, and she's helping a lot of women as well, which you'll see on this. She's leading her own way for sure, and it's inspiration, but it is hard. It's not easy. So programming yourself to win is, I dare say, there's no end point to that. It's how far you want to go and what you want to unlock as well.
Well, I think you are winning if you're in that direction, though, right?
Yeah, that's true. By default, yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely a better mindset. Yeah, for sure.
Is there a particular routine you follow in the morning to set yourself up for each day? I mean, I know you said you meditate, you meditation and stuff like that, but is there a routine you do? Is there a particular pattern you set yourself up with?
Yeah, I'll tell you, when you've got two kids, the routine is, let's hope they don't wake up through the night, and you still have to get up no matter what time. So like the ideal routine, where I was doing this for quite some time, was getting up at 5 a.m. and I do breathing, so Wim Hof breathing. That is super, absolutely remarkable. Oh, so for those of you who don't know what Wim Hof breathing is, it's the act of basically getting a lot of oxygen through your system, and then triggering your body to go into cell repair, and doing that so you would inhale, exhale 40 times, and then at the 40th time you exhale completely, and then hold your breath with no air in your lungs. And I can do it up to 4 minutes now, so you build up to that, and then you get into this state where everything just that is super. Meditation as well. I've gotten to really deep meditational sessions on my own, where it's just listening to, I use this app called Insight Timer, and then I see like different colors, things like you get real deep meditation. That really helps as well. Affirmations, like I love myself. I did that when it was really hard, when my life was really tough. It's like just repeating that over and over to yourself. These are tools. And then journaling, I've created a journaling system as well, using this app called Obsidian, where every single day I can launch it, and has like a whole checklist of things to do. But lately, I haven't been able to do that because I've got two kids, 2 and 4 years old. But the ideal scenario is definitely do that more consistently. And yoga, as a 41-year-old, I think your body tends to get sore, and don't stop playing sports. So
Yeah, beautiful piece of advice there as well. If anyone needs to look into even just one of those to change the trajectory of their life, this is what it's all about. This is what the podcast is all about. And you're right, I'm on that dip as well. I do breath work in the cold water plunge, and for cell preservation and cell repair as well. I do 19-hour fasting per day, so I can prevent cells going into deoxygenate, especially if you're going to eat sugar. I try and keep sugar out of my diet. Little things like that. If I can try and keep my cells, my mitochondria oxygenated, and I'm depleted for the last week and a half because of the fever and the tooth infection and things like that. So that sends you west, and again the children and things like that. So I'm not the most optimal right now. I probably would say I'm suboptimal, but on the way back. And tomorrow I'm interviewing quite a well-known science exercise scientist, and she's all over Sydney News and Melbourne News, Amelia Phillips. So if you ever heard of her, I'm interviewing her tomorrow. So hopefully that will just change the trajectory of my life to get back to where I need to be.
Absolutely.
So for you then, future plans, Adam, what are your future plans? And the reason why I ask that is because I want everybody to know, just because we're here on the podcast leading our own way, it doesn't mean we're done, doesn't mean we've made it. It's an ongoing journey, like you mentioned before. That goal will never be reached, but at least if we're on the way to it, we're leading our own way. So what are your future plans?
Yeah, so to articulate the future plans is the last thing that I left off that list. Obviously, something greater than yourself is your family, right? That's the first thing. So wrapping my life around my family. And the key word is also purpose. You could have a family but have no purpose, and there's a lot of stories about men who, unfortunately, can't find that purpose. And there's a massive statistic of that 80% of men in the US, find ways to end their life, and it's usually down to a lack of purpose. So there's two great things here. So one of which is my purpose is obviously to build a life around my family. That's my first purpose, right? Which means that this business that we're building, Sales Command, in its immediate sort of infancy, it's about building sales engines and helping other people get more wealthy, which is number one. So if we can build the sales engine for your business and actually increase your net profit before interest and tax, the actual bottom line, increase that by 3 points, 10 points. We're talking about millions of dollars here that I can grow into other people's lives. That is my purpose, which is first and foremost through sales systems that we build. We become indispensable. But there's also the other end of the spectrum is that we have a lot of great IP that we're building. So we're launching our own software that does all this as well, which is super exciting. We've just got confirmation from Google that we're in their Google Startup program to help build this new technology, as well as NVIDIA Inception program, which is huge. We just had the onboarding today. But the future prospect is to build our own system. But what we actually want to do with the system is not so much we're going to become huge, we want to sell and we want to be, international with our business. We've already started. We've launched in North America, our business. We're also looking to launch in the Southeast as well. But the idea is that we want to use this system, take this system and actually empower other people to learn how to use it and for them to grow their own lives and their own businesses as well without having to worry about the doing and the DevOps, which fundamentally frees their life. So they can do cool things. So that's what we're building, and that's my purpose from here on. And we're on the way there. We've got a great team now as well, so we're growing. We've got a great development, DevOps team, we call it, in the back end, which is the key. And we're building great systems, and I'm going to heavily get into education. And I'm literally going to give away everything that I know. Like everything. I don't care. I'm going to give away all my IP. I'm going to create videos for people to learn how they can build their own systems for their own businesses. And if they want to work with us, excellent. If not, mate, I'm going to help you. So I'm happy either way. So that's my purpose in life now, from where I was to where I am. So,
mate, that was amazing. That's incredible. That's inspirational. I love that. Well, I'll put all your information in the show notes. So if anyone wants to get in touch and be with Adam, it sounds like he's the guy to be with. I'll put everything in the show notes to help them reach out to you, Adam. You've answered two of my three final questions. The purpose one was my final one, but you've already answered that one. So I won't go there. Actually, I will. But I'll hold on to. I will go there actually because you probably do have another angle on it. What if you could give one piece of advice? You've given heaps of gems for people to take away with them today, though. But if you could give one piece of advice for anyone that can connect to your journey, whether it's through the mental health struggles, whether it's through family, whether it's through certain employment they didn't necessarily want to go down, what piece of advice could you give to them?
The biggest currency in the world that's fleeting is creativity. Okay, creativity is number one. We have to teach ourselves now to be creative, and we have to teach our kids. We have a responsibility to ensure our kids are also creative. Now, why that's important? Because there's AI everywhere now. Yeah. I'm at the forefront of what you could do with AI, and let me tell you, for a lot of people, it's like, oh, I'm so scared. You will lose your jobs. You're going to lose your jobs. You're going to lose blue-collar jobs, so robotics, self-driving cars, self-driving buses, infrastructures that self-regulate, self-run, and your white-collar job, a lot of that will be automated. Software will become almost redundant. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So you can look at it one of two ways. It's now the age of the creator. So what that means is you have the opportunity to build anything that you want. And now is the time. So my advice is use AI, discover what creative things that you've always wanted to do, want to build. You now have the access to researching anything in depth and also getting the instructions on how to build that. And guess what? There's not many people that have that mindset. So my advice is get creative and use AI now to your advantage to set yourselves up for the future, and never stop creating. It's my advice.
Great piece of advice. And that's what, because I work in education still, I stop asking kids what do they want to be when they're older. And there's a yellow book behind me says, what is your dream? I always ask that question because 80% of the jobs that they will want will not exist. Sorry, don't exist. Sorry, I'll reword it. 80% of the jobs that they will have or they will be doing day to day don't currently exist.
Yeah. Yep.
It's I struggle with my own words there, but yeah, I say that every day. Simon Squibb. Yeah.
He's mate. I've watched his videos. Every kid wants to be an influencer and a YouTuber, right? But even then, AI is taking over. So what are you going to do? How are you going to contribute? What are you going to build? Yeah. So that I know we're probably getting close to time here, but there's one more thing that I will
go
say.
For it.
Unless you want to ask a question, and then hopefully it fits into that question.
Well, my final question was the purpose, but you've already answered it. But I was going to re-angle that same question to probably a more personal sense.
Yes. So business world, great. Helping others, great. So what am I doing for my family? Where it counts the most, the heart, right? So education, you mentioned that word, education. So my objective is to not put my kids through school, number one. So what are we going to do? My objective is to buy a warehouse. My objective is to get CNC routers, 3D printers, to get a basketball court, a recording studio, and I'm going to teach my kids how to create things from their mind to reality. Right, so 3D printing products that help solve problems immediately in their own life, printing out their own toys, building their own toys from using AI to help build and sculpt a 3D character, and then it gets created in front of their eyes.
Sounds like a dream school.
Well, imagine that. Imagine if this works.
I'll open it for you. I've done one before. I'll open one for you.
It's a movement, I dare say, because and then teaching kids now how to then spread what they do to the rest of the world as well, as early as possible. And then they can play sports, basketball, soccer. It's a pickleball court. It's going to just transition, and I want to get like-minded kids, and mostly families. I want like-minded families because it's about the parents. I want to be surrounded by parents that have the same psychology or the same, I guess, economy in their household. And that's the reason why I don't want my kids to go to school, because a lot of parents aren't conscious, and that immediately rubs off on your kid. And I'm very, very scared of that, and I want to protect them, but I also want to teach them creativity in a different way.
Agree. I'm worried for the future. I really am.
Yeah.
In terms of what our kids will, the mindset will be in 20 years' time, and I always say to my son, the trauma that you won't have because I don't give it to you, but the trauma your friends will have and turn around and admit, because the science will be prevalent by then, they will turn around and say, my parents allowed me on the devices all day and night, and that's why I am like I am.
Yes. Both parents have to work now.
Yes.
Right. So
and I'm not saying it's all their fault, by the way.
No, it's the economy. It's the economy.
Yeah.
It's the economy. So.
Yeah, well, funny we talk about Simon Squibb. I'm meeting him on the 10th of November this year. So,
wow.
Yes, I'm going to meet him in Melbourne, and I've paid for a ticket where I get to go and speak to him. And my goal is to get him on the podcast, because the 3 flying fish, one of my former guests, I got from Simon Squibb. They are sailing the Atlantic on the 12th of December, raising money for Teenage Cancer Trust in the UK. So I had Rowan and Harry and Anna, the 3 flying fish, are rowing across the Atlantic, and I got them from Simon Squibb.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. That went out early this year, that one. I met them in February, and I think it went out in April sometime, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Remarkable. You know, there's one thing I'll close off as well, personal brand.
Yep.
Simon Squibb, what made him big, he started a marketing agency, but it was his personal brand that he invested in the most, and that's why he's able to get to the next level. So that's a bit of advice as well. So
yes,
but congratulations on that too. Hopefully, and best of luck, mate. We should somehow advocate. We should somehow tap into Simon Squibb's messages like, hey, check out Leading Your Own Way. Check out Leading. We should all get together and say right, and then create a campaign
it's
to
funny
do it.
You say this. It's funny you say this because I have appeared on I've done his stories before and got him tagged in. I've seen him. He's actually seen my stories because it's come up with his name. Anyway, I've messaged him a few times saying the connection with the 3 flying fish. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have had the 3 flying fish. Blah blah blah. And I said I messaged him not long ago saying I'm meeting you, and I want to tell him my journey. I want to tell him the reason why the podcast is this, and the only thing I want from him is no money. I just want him. That's it.
Yeah.
I only want him on the podcast because this is the dream. The dream's already happening. Now it's about making the dream a bigger scale. So how do I do that? Well, yes, I need money, but it's him I think I should have on the podcast.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yes, I want to start. Yeah. I want to start a bit of a campaign to get to him, to be able to meet him for longer. Anyway, we'll see.
Let's do it. Let's get it.
You're my help now, Adam. It's recorded. You have to.
I'll build the sales engine. It automates the outreach to him and signals it.
Love it. Well, Adam Lopez, thank you for joining me on Leading Our Own Way. It's been such an honour.
Thank you so much, Adam Lopez Delon, in full. So just FYI, yeah.
Oh, sorry. So say it full for me again.
Adam Lopez Delon.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah.
My apologies. Well, I'll have to put that in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Adam, it's been such an honour, mate. I love the fact that you've been so vulnerable and shared your journey, and I know so many people are going to be able to take so much away from you, and we'll make it a family fair when we have Evelyn on here next week.
Yeah, can't wait to see that. So thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for staying up late, but stay on the line, and tell everybody else. From Adam and myself, have a great evening, have a great week, enjoy the rest of your week, but keep leading your own way, and come back next week to Leading Our Own Way for a new amazing guest. We'll see you then.
Cheers.
Bye. Adam's transformation from working in an abattoir to building sales command while battling personal demons shows us that our lowest moments can become the foundation for our greatest achievements. His commitment to empowering his family and others through education and innovation is truly inspiring. You've got that end part though, that sounds like a dream school, doesn't it? I love it. If you've been moved though by Adam's story, I encourage you to reach out and share your own journey. Connect with us at my email is andrew@leadingourownway.com, or find us on social media. Remember to use the hashtag #LeadingOurOwnWay when you share your thoughts. Your story matters though. I want you to remember that every single week your story matters, your journey matters, and it might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. I want you to please subscribe and follow the show wherever you listen to your podcast. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it, and keep leading your own way. Thanks for joining us on this journey of resilience and transformation. It means the world to me that you're even listening to my journey. Yeah, it really does. And we've gone crazy here on Spotify and Apple. So please keep giving that review and follow the show. It really, really helps me keep going and reaching out to more people. Anyway, take care. Have a great weekend, and come back next week for another amazing guest and journey. Take care. Keep leading your own way. We'll see you then. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.